to Plant City Gamer Guild's Throwback Thursday stream, where we have Guild Leader, Guild Master Jason, and Guild Leader Larry here. For this session of stream, we're going to do a Throwback Thursday, but we're actually going to give you guys a recap of my Tales of the Yawning DM, Yawning Portal campaign. Because we haven't really been able to stream much.
Right, so we figured since you guys have missed about a session or two, we'd use this Throwback Thursday to kind of bring you up to speed.
So, without further ado, the sessions that were last on that I remember, we had kind of the preamble to the whole story. We set that up where it was a carnival festival type event that was going on in Waterdeep Ward, or the Castle Ward. And then all of a sudden, as the characters were there having fun and enjoying the festival, a large attack started on Waterdeep. We had figures moving in left and right. We had blights coming in. And it really became a really crazy scene. One of our characters, his fiance, was actually tagged by Mummy Rot.
Absolutely. And we have the halfling paladin that I made?
Merrick Highhill.
Yeah, Merrick Highhill.
Yeah, he unfortunately could not make his deck saves as a young black dragon came swooping down and landed acid breath upon a very sad level 1 gnome paladin?
Halfling paladin.
Halfling paladin,
Yeah.
just as good.
Clearly he wasn't around very long. Neither one of us can hardly remember the character.
Which is actually kind of sad about that, because a halfling paladin really could have set some new standards and not given them a bad name like they normally have.
He had a really funny voice though. He sounded like Mickey Mouse.
We actually have one coming up where I suggested someone play a gnome barbarian, but no one caught on, unfortunately. So as this has all happened, a couple really high-powered NPCs, heroes of D&D lore, actually, were in Waterdeep themselves and actually tried to come to the rescue of the sad citizens who were being laid siege upon. We had Elminster, the High Wizard. He's a really a famous one. There's been books about him. We had Lamalia, the Deva, actually tried to step in as well. Let's see. Who else do we have on that one?
Is the Deva the one that I was thinking of, the big supernatural being that came down?
No. You're talking about that actually kind of ended the whole thing for you guys?
I think so, maybe. It was someone that was fighting to help us.
Oh yes. That was Lamalia.
Okay.
That was when the one sad peasant woman to the side was praying to her deity.
Right.
And Tarl Val reached his hand to let her know your deity has no place here. There will be no savior for you.
Yeah, that was an interesting moment. Especially because I was playing a halfling paladin at the time, so he was somewhat enraged when he heard someone say, your deity has no place here. And I think that rage might have possibly factored into his arrogant and rash actions that led to his untimely death.
Agreed. Yeah, this was actually all happening right before Merrick Highhill unfortunately met the acid breath and became melted steel in the streets. So as Taroval reached his hand out to kind of just destroy the sad lady in one hit, a large flash of light and Lumalia the Deva came in, and she was swinging, I think she had a morning star or a flail. She was definitely knocking guys back and left and right.
Yeah, it was a big help for what it was.
And then their characters kept going, and that was the point.
Eventually we made it to the Yawning Portal Tavern.
Yes. But right before they made it to the Yawning Portal Tavern, they actually got to see the ancient evil that they are playing opposite against in this long-standing, almost game of chess. Just who can do the best move the quickest. They met the... I do believe they do know at this time, not sure. They know him by the name of Acerak. From the description I gave, if their human controller here in Plant City knows what that is, then fantastic. But unfortunately, I don't think they did yet, as they were so low level. But it was almost to a point where there was no hope whatsoever. Luckily,
it wasn't looking good for us. Or any of Waterdeep, for that matter.
I do believe they even had a run-in with a centaur's mummy just to throw
Just
it
'cause
all.
why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not? So really, what I'm doing is I'm taking the book Yawning Portal and making it a convolutive story that flows in with itself. Not easy for those who don't know about the Yawning Portal. It's really just kind of meant to be throwing games. Like, say you're running Lost Mines and you feel like having your characters take a stop off at the Forge Fury. Maybe they're going to get some good dwarvish weapons.
On that note, if we can go on just a little bit of a tangent here for a second. In my opinion, if you're going to run a published adventure, the only way to properly run a published adventure is to homebrew the shit out of it.
Oh, totally agree. I totally agree. What is the fun of playing Clue for the 400th time when you know every move that's going to happen?
Right.
What's the point of playing the same boring game of Monopoly when you could change things up? You could actually run a different story every time. Maybe you pick and choose from the bones that is the story, and you just break out that handy dandy random encounter and just kind of go to town. So let's see, our characters, you guys' characters after that, y'all made it to the Yawning Portal.
Right.
You were able to meet kind of the denizens who take up the Yawning Portal in their nightly affairs. Many were actually just seeking shelter from the horrible siege. Yes, Durnan, the Inn Master himself. Durnan's got some secrets. There's some stuff to Durnan. He is a very complex character. For any of you guys who have ever read any of the books probably regarding, even Mad Mage kind of flows into how the Yawning Portal comes to be. It wasn't always just an inn, as the players found out from the well in the center of the Yawning Portal.
And it was Durnan who first told us about the Gulthias apple, right?
That was correct. You see, Durnan is not really one to give something without taking something. So he saw the sad shape that Artemis or Lucius? You're Lucius, right?
No, Lucius is the other campaign.
Yeah, the other campaign. Yeah. Sorry, I always... okay, so quick thing. We have characters, our halfling, or our half-elves.
Yeah.
We found a really cool thing online, and we've kind of incorporated into it, where a lot of our half-elves kind of carry the last name Failing, almost as a bastard name of such.
Right, kind of like Snow or Sand from Game of Thrones.
Exactly. So it's a kind of a cool way that we have multiple campaigns that we're running, possibly in the same universe, possibly not in the same universe, but they all kind of tie in with certain little aspects to it, which is pretty great. So our Durnan seen the sad shape of his town, Waterdeep, and he's seen how Artemis's poor wife, the rot was slowly creeping up her body. They were able to put her in kind of a magic coma, if you will, to kind of halt the process.
Right, sort of kind of like the Walt Disney Frozen.
Exactly, stasis. They put her in a state of frozen animation.
Right.
So that kind of gave our adventurers time to get their heads about them, not really have that so much weighing on, and Durnan let them into the secret of the Gulthias apple. The Gulthias apple could only be found by goblins who would sell the apple, or if you wanted to go to the source, you could go to the Gulthias tree. Now, the Gulthias was actually a vampire back in the day, and he was killed by one of the heroes of D&D. I can't remember exactly. I want to say it might be close to the same one that with the Orcai of Grumsh that caught stabbed, Corellon, Larathon, or I'm butchering the name, I'm sorry. So a stake was pierced into Gulthias' heart, and where his body fell in this grove, a tree began to grow from that evil blood that has seeped onto the stake and has created the Gulthias tree, just this large black monstrosity that takes up a good bit of the grove area. I mean, you guys went down a shaft that was about 40 feet to get to that final grove area.
And as far as the Gulthias apple, while we were making our way to get there, we ran into a few people who we questioned about the Gulthias apple, and we explained to them the reason we were searching it to cure the Artemis's wife's mummy rot. And we encountered a few NPCs that kind of told us well, sure, it'll do what you want if it's the right season. And from what we could tell, it does seem to have cured her mummy rot, but we're still kind of unknown as to exactly what this apple is and the full capabilities of what it could do.
See, and that's the fun part about having Jason here with us while we're doing this, is I have to be really careful about what I let out or don't let out. From what you guys did see, you did have the red, shiny, just marvelous, beautiful apple. And from what you guys were told in earlier stories from like Bart of Down Shadow, Bart the Beggar, who actually got quite a bit of coin out of our characters, almost making him one of the richest people in Down Shadow very quickly. He's got a good scam going on. And you guys were also met with a character who used to be I'm trying to think of the word for what I'm looking for. Not Wraith. Kind of like a vampire familiar. So somebody who was madly in love with Golthias, and she kind of gave her life to him.
A vampire familiar?
Yeah, I can't think of the exact word for it. Like, I'm trying to pull up the notes I have on the Down Shadow NPCs, and a thrall. Thrall.
Okay.
Was the darn word of the night. There we go. She was a thrall for Golthias. And she actually had asked the adventurers to bring her, just even if they could, a splinter of the tree, so she could have something that was still connecting her to her true love, Golthias.
Did we do that?
You did not.
Yeah,
you guys did not.
Yeah, I totally forgot that she asked us to do that.
Yeah, unfortunately, they just weren't the nicest to poor Blanca, so she doesn't get what she wants.
We had more important concerns.
Agreed. I mean, when you have something going on like that, most people kind of tend to care for themselves. You guys do have a lot on your plate. Okay, so we're getting off topic here. Let's see.
We entered.
Well, I guess even before that, before you guys even went down the well, there was the large meeting in Waterdeep where kind of like the Council of Waterdeep was asking for stronger adventurers who would go fight the giants in the east. And while this did seem like a very good opportunity for our adventurers, unfortunately, they just weren't strong enough yet. You guys weren't even considered as an option.
Level 1, yo.
Yeah, but luckily enough, though, Durnan and his crazy conspiracies about Acerat kind of pointed them off into a different direction. That the true issue would probably be in the Tomb of Horrors itself, Acerat's tomb. And that was another cool thing about the Yawning Portal and why I kind of chose it to run it for us. Because it is, I wouldn't say 7 of the best dungeons for D&D, but definitely probably the greatest hits and why is it most famous. You know what I mean? Like, these are well-known dungeons that these guys are running through. So for you guys watching along, maybe you recognize these dungeons from earlier D&D, before they were converted over to 5e. Many of you might have even played them. So our adventurers made it into Down Shadow. They questioned a few NPCs, as you said.
Right.
They made their way to the Sunless Citadel in hopes of getting the Golthias apple to cure poor Artemis's wife. You guys met Yuzdrael on the way. Actually, Meepo was the first one. Meepo the Kobold. Yes.
We met Meepo first.
Yes. Meepo I wouldn't say cowardly. He's brave at heart. He tries. He was the dragon keeper for the dragon Caltrix, who was kind of the pride and joy of the kobolds in the Sunless Citadel.
Only one problem. He seemed to have... Well, he wasn't the best dragon keeper because he didn't seem to have kept his dragon.
No. Unfortunately, the hobgoblin that you guys met later, Balsac, or the Bugbear, my apologies.
Right.
There was actually an early report where Balsac had kind of made his way over and had ended up stealing the dragon. That's why the cage was kind of crushed and it was a ruined area when you guys met Meepo. And Meepo was so heartbroken he couldn't do anything but lay in his bed and cry for the failure that he has brought upon the kobolds.
And that's essentially the state that we found Meepo in.
Yeah, exactly how y'all found him. So Meepo brung you guys to Yuzdrael.
Right, the leader of the kobolds.
Yeah, yelling tickle porn along the way, which somehow became tickle porn. That's what happens when people play D&D, unfortunately. One of our adventurers was not kind of with the group, so while he was staying back and hearing them say Ticklecorn because...
Which was a magical password of some sort.
Yeah,
right?
it wasn't really magical. It was just kind of their safe word. Is like, hey guys, we're friendly.
Right.
So Kaol's character had stayed back a little bit, and he wasn't actually able to hear it so well. So he kind of heard tickle porn and was like, I can use this to my advantage. Thank God he didn't run around yelling tickle porn because it would have been just death.
And we all would have been laughing way too hard to continue playing.
Exactly. Like Tasha's hideous laughter without even the castle. Just falling over. Okay, so they meet Yuzdrael. Yuzdrael has then tasked you guys with bringing back Calcrix, and she will... Well, it really wasn't a deep thing to that. Like, they really just wanted their dragon back.
Well, yeah, and she had this kind of large hoard of treasures,
yes.
And basically she told us that if we could go into the deeper part of the dungeon where the Gulthias tree was, and return with her dragon, she would then let us have some of her treasure.
Which did include a key that was placed in a dragon's mouth. That these guys had found a door a little bit earlier. There was a dragon carved, beautifully ornate marble door that they had stumbled upon. We tried picking it. We tried
beating it with a maul.
Everything to be possible. But it turns out certain things can bring the DCs of doors way up. Almost to an impossible feat unless you really got some good stuff back in your skills. So they went through the dragon. You guys took the back way.
Right.
And as they went through the connector between the Cobalt section and the Goblin section...
Was it Meepo or a different Cobalt?
That was a different one. That was one of the elites.
Okay.
Yes, Meepo stayed behind. As they went through, they heard a bell go off. And our lovely rogue Milo...
Rogues, man.
...took this as an ambush. And quickly... placed his blade right into the kobold, who was only there to help. Right. It was actually sincere intentions on that one. Anything you want to add on it?
So right after he killed that kobold, basically what was happening is there was kind of this sort of wall of separation in this dungeon where there were kobolds and there were goblins, and they were sort of at war, but they were at this kind of tense state of peace where as long as you don't come on our side, we don't have any problems. And while diving deeper into the dungeon to find the Gulthias tree, we had to cross that line, and as soon as we did, we were in fact attacked by goblins, and our halfling rogue just kind of felt like this was a setup of some sort, which is why he killed our kobold ally at the time. But it was a huge misjudgment and completely unnecessary violence in the long run, but...
It was a tad bit murder hobo-ish, but you know what? I'll give it to him because in the thought of we're about to be ambushed, he did what he thought rogue should do, which is just get a little bit stabby. So as the door opens, the bell rings, the kobold drops. They enter a hallway that is a caltrop trapped hallway. There's probably about 200 caltrops there. So that kind of gave you guys a little bit of hindrance on your movement. Things were pretty slow in that hallway. And across from that hallway was about a 3-foot wall that had 2 goblins hiding behind it. Or I think 3 actually. 3 goblins, yeah. And that proved quite a bit of trouble.
Yeah, especially because I was playing this is after Merrick died, obviously. I was now playing Stormlord, the barbarian dwarf. And barbarians obviously are very primarily melee class. And I couldn't cross this hallway because of the caltrops, and I couldn't take the time to slowly move them across because we were under attack by arrows. So this was definitely a huge hindrance for my character, for sure.
Yeah, agreed. Caltrops are actually a really good thing to add to your game if you want to use some kind of defensive system. Caltrops, if you're trying to move quickly through them, you have to do a skill check. And I do believe if you fail the skill check, it drops your speed by half.
Right.
So if you've got a long hallway with a lot of caltrops sitting in it, it can really hinder players from getting to something so small as 2 goblins behind the wall, who actually dropped Kaol in his place. And I do believe other people were getting really low on health just from that little battle.
Yeah.
And we had the ever so crazy who jumped behind the goblins? can't remember. I remember Cowl threw the
Was it Kel?
I don't know if it was Kel. I don't. It might have been Milo. I'm not 100% sure who did the leaping. Cowl, played by Charles, let off a vial he had, which was actually a potion, or not a potion of poison. It was a vial of
It was like flammable,
breath,
right?
or something.
Yeah,
like
flame
dragon breath, or it was something.
breath.
I can't remember the exact name of it. He threw that off behind the goblins, and that actually created quite a problem for him, and kind of gave you guys kind of an opening, because it did create a bit of flames behind the goblins. So they were kind of distracted back and forth. Someone hopped over, killed all the goblins. So we get past that. Our adventures are now over the 3-foot wall.
Right.
And what was really cool about this is Kevin, who plays Artemis, had the idea to disguise self as a goblin. And he shoved these guys back behind the 3-foot wall, and he knocked on the door. And the goblins came out, seen the dead goblins, and decided to kind of try to inspect what was going on. That's how he got behind them. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So the 3 goblins pile out. Kevin's right behind them as a goblin. And you guys just kind of peekaboo right over the wall. And more violence ensues. Kevin gets a little stabby. You smash some heads in. We had Kel in the back firing arrows, and you guys dispatch these guys pretty quickly. You then... No, Kel wasn't with you. Kel was in the prison.
That's right. We hadn't caught back up with him.
Unfortunately, Tyler, who plays Kel, had missed a session, and I had to quickly kind of bring him into the game the best way I could find, so that he wouldn't be left out. 1 second.
While Larry gets that fixed out, I'll just continue. So basically, like he said, Tyler couldn't make it to the session, unfortunately. So to cover for that, basically, backing up a little bit, when we first went down into the Yawning portal, we did so via these harnesses. And correct me if I'm wrong, didn't we just say that he kind of got stuck in the harnesses and...
Yeah, he had gotten tangled up. He had gotten tangled up, and on his way down, he unfortunately took quite a tumble when he was able to finally free himself from the harness. And then he was captured by a band of the roving goblins, the raiding goblins who would go around, who ended up finding him kind of tucked off to a side area, and they found him unconscious. So they went ahead and beat him up just a wee bit more and threw him in a prison, which you guys were able to find him. And along with him, you found...
Erky Timbers.
Good old Erky Timbers. Pre-charcoal. We'll say pre-charcoal. Erky Timbers...
Oh, yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah, Erky Timbers was a good old gnome. He was an acolyte who had the clerics rebuke the dead, which that would have been really handy for you guys at a different point. Not in the way you're thinking. There was just a puzzle hidden there somewhere that you guys were a little stuck on.
Wait.
Hopefully you guys go back to Sunless Citadel.
He had a spell called Rebuke the Dead.
Yes.
Didn't we find
Oh,
it?
sorry, not Rebuke the Dead. God, what's the one that makes them flee?
Oh, Turn Undead.
Turn Undead.
Okay.
There we go.
I was about to say, so you mean it was that door that said Rebuke the Dead?
I mean, if you guys revisit Sunless Citadel, you guys have kind of already made your way. Okay, so passing through, they found good old Erky Timbers, a gnome who was captured on roads above. He was just traveling. He had heard about the Sunless Citadel, and there's actually an area that kind of connects to Sunless Citadel way up above. Sunless Citadel is one of the shallowest parts of Undermountain, like down Shadow is. It kind of made its way off a little bit. So he was captured and he was thrown into the prison, kind of became friends with Kel just a wee bit. They met him, they freed everybody. There was 3 other kobolds in there. They freed the kobolds. They let the kobolds know, hey, go steal some of the goblin gear.
Yeah.
That way you guys can go back. Unfortunately, one of your members fell in the war at the door, to say. Really quick thinking on that. Thank God they did.
Definitely killed by goblins and not
Exactly.
us.
See, my fun with what I was doing was trying to figure out how that doesn't turn into a TPK. Because you guys were level 1.
Right.
And there was a lot of kobolds and a lot of kobold elites. And Yuzdrael herself. She would have been a beast to try to take on. I had to stack for spell cards for her, and I had a thick pile of just everything she can do. They gave her a lot of skills in that. So you guys make it through the goblin camp. Or the goblin side. You pretty much just destroy all goblins that you find.
Right. We originally, when we first found Urky Timbers, we kind of took him for sort of just this unarmed, defenseless prisoner. And so when we freed him, we were like, okay, just go back that way and you can get out of Undermountain. And to which he vehemently protested, Urky, help!
Yeah. I mean, he was really he really wanted to find out the secrets of the Sunless Citadel itself. Like I said, he did have some cleric ties to the background, and so there was a deep evil that was in.
He had come down there with an adventuring party of his own, right?
He was actually on the roads above, and that's when he was captured and brought down into the prison of there. So they finally meet Calcrix, and I will say, don't introduce a dragon to your players if they've watched How to Train Your Dragon. It's not a good idea. You see, Calcrix was a black dragon, typically chaotic evil, I do believe, or chaotic neutral. They're not of the best variety. All of our characters who now have met Calcrix, a pissed off teenage kind of dragon, who went from being in a small cage to now Calcrix lives in a large trophy room.
With all-you-can-eat goblin buffet, essentially.
As soon as they came in, she was right on top of them. There was even there were splashes of acid around the room where you could tell that really she's had her way with this room. So the players meet Calcrix. Kel is staying back, Urky's staying back, because Urky don't play no bullshit. Like, he's not trying to die very quickly. And I want to say Kaol was the first one to walk up, hand extended.
Well, let me interrupt you there, because this was directly after said dragon had just taken a big chunk out of Stormlord's shoulder. At this point, Stormlord's mad. He's getting ready to go on the attack.
Yeah, because I think you came in trying to grapple right off the bat. Like, you just came in trying to grab the dragon.
Right.
The dragon really wasn't feeling that too much. Calcrix wasn't too happy with just trying to be pinned down, so she took a bite. And this kind of sent you into a rage that people had to back you down off of.
Well, yeah, because the thing was, the way Stormlord sees it, he's very big on camaraderie and backing up your allies. Maybe even if they made the wrong decision, they're still your allies and you still back them up. That's the way Stormlord sees things, and to him, he had just had this gigantic dragon take a bite out of him, and immediately after that, all of his party members, instead of trying to help him and exacting his revenge on this dragon, immediately said, here's the most valuable thing I own.
Yeah, they just come up with gems. Like, they just walk up gems in hand, which I understand. To some DMs, you would go, that's treasure. Awesome. To me as a DM, Calcrix was in a tiny cage and is now in a full-size trophy room with a hoard of her own. Why would she go back to that? So as Kaol and I'm trying to remember who was right behind. I think Artemis was right behind. As they both go walking up, like, hand out, Calcrix rears back and unleashes acid breath. And I do believe at that second, Kaol went in his spot. And battle ensues again. And Stormlord sees this as the point that, hey, I'm still mad about before this is happening. So you guys went to battle.
Right. I think after a few rounds of combat, we quickly realized that it was not a battle that we were going to win.
No. Milo actually ended up jumping on Calcrix. Now, if you guys aren't sure about how that works, if you flip over to for those that have the Dungeon Master Guide, this is kind of extra actions you can do. And you can jump on a creature who's larger than you, but you have to make, I think it's a Dex versus Dex kind of thing.
Probably, is it athletics versus acrobatics or something like that?
It might be.
Okay.
So
that would make sense.
If you win the check, you get to jump on the creature, and it really helps to work to pin the creature.
Right.
For me, that gives you advantage, because now you're on its back. Milo was able to drop his knees into the back legs of Calcrix and pin them back legs. And then I think he ended up wrapping the paws, and you guys ended up with Calcrix down.
Yeah, so getting him to sort of a stalemate, we were able to come to an understanding of, okay, look, you don't have to go back like we were saying. You can stay right here. Just let us keep doing our thing and go on to the next room.
And it kind of worked best that way. Calprix was all right with that deal.
Right.
I mean, I get to stay here and eat goblins and hoard treasure. And ever so nicely ended up giving Kel his armor, which was collected in a chest to the side. You guys found your first hint of the Forge of Fury in that chest as well. It was a beautiful bone tube that a small parchment of paper was in that mentioned Kundrakar.
Right.
You as a blacksmith, being a dwarf as well, was familiar of the story of Durgeddon, the legendary blacksmith who made amazing weapons. Durgeddon was unfortunately pushed away from his home by a raiding group of orcs.
Durgeddon, you mean Kel?
No, Durgeddon the blacksmith. Yeah, he was pushed from his home by. It's kind of the same story, and that's really how I hooked Kel into it as well.
Right.
And I really had to actually, instead of normally when I try to DM, I do backbone like a bare bones, and then I'll go through a couple pages here and there just to kind of write some material for you guys to play.
Right.
I really had to go flipping deep through books to find the information to put this back and forth. Like after you guys have found the Black Gates.
So after we found that, it was then that Kel kind of decided to start sharing with us a little bit of his backstory, which related to this, basically saying that he and the rest of his tribe were, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the rest of his tribe was killed. He fled
Kel
from
Primar was the last of his tribe. He was the last of his family group.
And they were, his tribe was attacked by a large group of orcs that were all wielding these weapons.
Yes.
Now, when he shared this story with Stormlord, dwarves and orcs historically are sort of like cats and dogs. They don't like each other to begin with. Dwarves are big on, work ethic and craftsmanship and everything being perfect and dedicating all of your effort to things. And orcs are more crude and brutal and just violent and primitive. And to Stormlord, the idea of a bunch of orcs running around needlessly murdering and killing people with these most beautiful, most well-crafted weapons pretty much in existence as far as he knows, that immediately, not an enemy in sight, the story just sent him into a rage and he immediately just charged into the next room in search of enemies.
So as they kept going through, you guys kept destroying every orc that you came upon. You guys stumbled upon, can't remember, I think his name was Dulac or something, and the Dulac, the hobgoblin, who had asserted himself forceful of the orc tribe, or the goblin tribe. He had kind of taken it over. And his advisor, who was the early leader of the goblins, was Grinnell, the shaman that you guys met. So, sorry, I'm just trying to bring this up real quick. Okay. So they got into a fight with the goblin. The hobgoblin, sorry. You killed the hobgoblin. You killed his two associates. And Grinnell kind of started to try to back out of the fight. She seen that her biggest enemy was really taken out by you guys.
Right.
But y'all weren't really having that, unfortunately. So Cowell thought he was slick, and he grabbed her by the neck. He slams her against the wall. He tries to reason with her. She kind of gives in a little bit, but what he didn't know was she just wanted to get free.
Right.
So as he grabs her and they talk for a second, she reaches forward and grabs him, and she hits him with, I think it was inflict wounds.
Yeah, it was a pretty
That's
heavy blow.
That's a nasty spell.
Oh yeah, it is.
I mean, you're talking. Let me pull this up real quick, because I write everything down. You're talking 3d10 necrotic damage. Just in one hit, slammed him hard, threw him hard against the wall. I'm surprised he didn't go down again.
What spell level is that? Do you know?
I'm not 100% sure. They gave it to her. I know you can do 1d10 on an upcast. If anybody's watching, you want to pull that up, that would be awesome for you to throw in chat. I'm not 100% sure on it. So you guys talked with Grinnell a little bit. The foot was taken off her throat after her attack she made. Y'all wrestled her down again. Cal slit her throat under order of you, actually. Yeah, just murder her. So slit her throat. They go to open another door, which was kind of the living quarters of all goblins there. There's about 40 goblins in the room. To very quickly, you were like, shut it. Slam the door. Pitons in the door. We're not even going to play with that.
Yeah.
You guys raided the treasure chests, and you started even further down to making it to the Grove level.
Right.
Where you guys met Ballsag.
At the bottom of the shaft.
Ballsag's always at the bottom of the shaft. Our adventurers were rough. They landed in the bottom of the shaft. They fought. They fought a couple skeletons and 2 twig blights, I do believe. And they were like, guys, we gotta take a rest.
Yeah, we were looking pretty rough at that point. We had seen a lot of battle, taken a lot of wounds. Those of us who used spells were very low on said spells. Stormlord was running low on his pool of rage that he draws on, so to speak.
Yeah, it was really rough standings for you guys. So y'all went to take a rest. You started having watches.
Right.
And I do believe Kel was the one who was awake. Now, with resting, D&D allows you, I think it's up to an hour or 2 hours of out-of-rest activity.
Right.
So, like, a battle can happen or something of such.
And as long as you handle it quickly, you can return to your rest without having to actually start it over.
Yeah, so you can rest for 6 hours, fight for 2, and still technically get
it's
your
1
full.
actually.
Okay,
yeah.
so rest for 7, fight for 1. You still technically get your full rest. So if you're jipping your players out of that, shame on you. So you guys fought Ballsag and his 2 giant rats that he kept as pets.
Right.
Thwarted him. I do believe more characters fell. It was kind of a back and forth battle. It's why I love level 1s, is you really get to watch people get scared.
Oh yeah.
I do believe in the battle you started making death saves.
I do believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. You had actually went down and started making death saves. I want to say there was another character making them too, but a lot was going on that night. It was a crazy battle. So you were at death fail number 2, getting ready for coming up to roll your next one, and luckily whoever was before you in initiative made it over to you and stabilized you and picked you back up right before things went really south.
By the way, that was the person that actually did stabilize me. That was the 3rd person to attempt a medicine check on me after 2 failures.
Yes. So, you guys finished your rest at the bottom of the shaft. And there was 2 doors that you could go through. The door on the right and the door that was far from you, and then there was the cave to your left.
I think we sent Kel down to scout one out.
No, Milo peeked his head in.
Oh, okay.
Milo peeked his head in and was kind of looking around, and I was really excited for that area. To which these guys go, no, we're going to go this way. So kind of threw off what I was doing. But it's okay. So you guys went to the next area, which was like kind of like the lab of this twisted druid who has taken residence and tends to Gulthias tree. You guys dispatched everything in there. There was a lot of commoners, actually. Low-level HP guys that y'all just kind of smacked around.
See, he used the word commoners, which made me feel kind of bad. But then I was like, wait, commoners? You mean these were just regular people? And he's like, well, they were still goblins. And I was like, I feel a little bit better.
Goblin peasants. Goblin common folk, if you will. After we went through this, you guys, you changed up your alignments.
Yeah, I felt like the way we had been playing, well, for me personally anyways, I had originally had Chaotic Good written on my character sheet, and after reviewing some of my actions, more specifically, instructing Kel to go ahead and kill the spellcaster goblin that we had, I kind of thought things through, and I was like, Chaotic Good just isn't a very good label anymore. I'm going to have to go ahead and change that to Chaotic Neutral. And I'm pretty sure Kevin, who was playing Artemis, had the exact same epiphany.
Alright, if you want to take over for a minute, man.
Yeah, sure. So, after that, that was pretty soon after that, just kind of room after room after room. Was it before or after the dust thing? Was that?
The dust.
Was that before or after the boss fight?
Which boss?
The
Talking about Belak?
Yeah.
No, that was way at the end.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
I'm having trouble remembering the order of things here.
Okay, so you guys went through the lab. After you finished out the lab, you found the rat that had the woody tumors all over it.
Right.
That you guys kind of put out of its misery. And you found this weird elixir that was up on a shelf that one of you guys took. You questioned some goblins that were there. They let you know that Belak normally enters from the room to the right, so you guys went through, clearing out. I think you took a big old swig of some rotten goblin wine.
Oh, that sounds like something Stormwater would do.
Yeah, dwarves, just ready to drink anything that's in a flask. So you took a sip of this really perfumey, sweet-smelling wine that kind of soured your stomach. It's just the poor quality of goblin mashed wine.
Luckily, I rolled a very dwarvenly high number on my Constitution save.
I should have probably made you make a con save. I would have given you advantage though, just for being a dwarf. So you guys make it into the next hallway where there's kind of some arboretums around you, gardens of such.
Right.
You guys are in this area looking around, and there's a door to your left, an arboretum to the right, and one in front of you as well. You decide to go to the door to the left, and when you do, standing there is the hobgoblin.
That is the gardener, or was it a bugbear or a hobgoblin?
She might have been. I think she was a bugbear.
I think it was a bugbear. Yeah.
The bugbear who was not supposed to have a story to her. There was supposed to be nothing to this. It was a battle to get through. Don't just have battles, because your players will find a way to ruin it somehow.
Yeah, with players like us, we like to basically just question the hell out of every NPC that we come across, because we just want to know, everything, basically. So we started asking this bugbear all kind of questions. What do you do here? What is what's the story with the Golthias tree? How did the Golthias tree get here? We asked all kinds of questions, most of which this bugbear really didn't know the answer to many of our questions. So eventually we said, okay, you know what? Just sit tight here. We'll tie you up, and we'll be back.
Yeah, this all started because during the battle, the bard decided to cast sleep.
Yeah, very good utility spell. Comes in handy a lot.
Very good. I mean, if you're fighting one enemy in the way it kind of lets you dull out that HP just going down. I mean, if you've got one enemy who's halfway down, especially something like a bugbear, she's probably going to drop, even if it's a level 2 character. I think you guys were level 2 at this time.
Yeah.
Level 2 character casting, something like that. And he rolled really high on his, I think, D4s that it gives you for this.
I think it's D8.
Oh, dear Lord.
I want to say it's like 68.
Jesus, that's not even right. So you guys met Claire the Bugbear, who just wanted to tend her fungus gardens.
Yep. So, moving on past the fungus gardens, let's see, what do we come across after that?
The dragon statue for a Chardalon.
The dragon statue for a Chardalon. Is that the statue that we tried?
At a later point, y'all guys did have some crap go down in that statue.
Well, yeah, but before that, when we first found that statue, the inscription read...
Let my sorceress power ignite.
Yeah, and so we tried everything we could to figure out what the riddle or the rhyme or the reason here was, and just one thing after another, we were casting spells on this little platform. We were putting different items we had found in the dungeon. Put this there. Let's see. That didn't do anything.
A book ended up going into it, and then when one of our characters kind of figured out, oh wait, that wasn't the dragon skin book, the dragon scale, I kind of let him take that one back. So you guys... while you guys were checking out the statue, kind of seen a waver in the shadows behind it, to which you guys fought a shadow.
Yeah.
And that was a good fight. That was a lot of fun.
That was a fun one for sure.
Sorry, I'm just trying to put a thing on Facebook real quick. So you guys were in this room. Every time you would speak, let the sorcerer's power ignite. A sacred flame would come up around... whatever was there, or would just appear from that pedestal kind of thing. to which Jason's character Artemis did finally figure out to stand on the platform. I doubt he's watching this. So what it actually did was give him advantage on any charisma checks for like the next day. It was actually really good.
So we were waiting for a visual cue to
exactly,
happen. There just
exactly.
wasn't one.
Now, okay, I don't know if you guys do this as DMs. I don't know if you guys give a little ding, but I don't. Because that's not what happens in dungeons.
It was the moon cookies all over
exactly.
again.
You know, when you do something, your quest book doesn't update, all right? This isn't Skyrim or something. It's not how this is working. Call me unfair, unforgiving. I like these guys to think. I like you guys to figure riddles out and not even know that you did it and eventually go to an area where you're supposed to be there and be like, huzzah!
Right.
Look what we did. Excelsior! You guys make it through that area, you go forward, you find the stairs, you go down the stairs, you pop up the other side of the arboretum that was on the north side. You come around the hallway, to which I think you just started running. That was when you found out about Kel's story.
That's when it was.
Was
Sorry,
in the hallway.
I gave you guys that way earlier there. That was when I started running on to the next section, and let's see, what did I run into?
You guys ended up running into the 4 goblins, I think, who were tending the soil on the other side of the door. You kind of just busted the door open, and there was 4 goblins standing there with very shocked faces.
Yeah.
Because this crazy muscle pumping, sweating, veins bulging dwarf just bust the door open and started going ham.
Yeah,
I think you dropped one right in the beginning.
Yeah,
as soon as you open the door,
goblin heads were rolling really quickly.
Yeah.
Give us just a second, guys. Please hold.
It's the fun part about running social media in a full guild and everything. You know, we got a lot of stuff going on. And we're really having to catch up from making this table. I mean, this table took a lot. It really did.
Effort.
It did. There's some blood, sweat, and tears here, but it was so worth it in the end. Okay, so you guys bust through this door. You kill the 4 goblins. You are now in the grove area of the lower level of the Summit Citadel. To which Milo hides off to the side and kind of tucks himself in some briars and really tall grass. Milo is a halfling, a rogue played by Tyler. Sorry, Tyler Smith. My bad, bro. Tyler Smith, Tyler Martin. We have different. Okay, so he went down, and it was almost like a scene of Jurassic Park. I mean, he was just kind of popping up and taking one out, going back down, and twig blights are dropping left and right. And no one really has time to kill anything because Tyler's just boop, boop, boop,
it was just
making his way. It was great. So you guys kill the twig blights.
It was like reverse whack-a-mole. The mole pops up and the other thing goes down.
Exactly. I was waiting for someone to be like, fucking Chucky. It was great. So you guys come up to this crumbled wall area. You can see the large Gulthias tree branching out and reaching all over.
And it was at this point that we saw Belak along with... Throughout, once again, like I said, we were questioning every NPC we came across this whole time, and more than once we had been told that we were not the first set of adventurers that had come down here.
That's correct.
That there was another adventuring party that just recently had, basically, we were essentially following in their tracks at this point. And when we get to the Gulthias tree, we see Belak, and we also see these 3 other adventurers with them. It was a paladin,
Sir Bradford, and then there was Lady Hukra.
Right.
Now those were the only 2 that you guys had seen.
2, sorry.
Because you guys they let you know earlier when you fought the hobgoblin.
The hobgoblin killed one.
One of them, which I think it was like Toron, or I can't remember exactly the name. It's hard to keep track of 37 NPCs, and I have to have a voice for everyone. I don't want to just be the Goblin DM, okay? I'm trying.
But they were all bark skin.
Exactly. Yes, their flesh was a very woody, solid. It was a weird sight to see, really. They had seen something like it with the rat earlier that had the woody tumors all over it, which led you guys to believe kind of Golthias was somehow creating this. Yes, he was experimenting.
And this was a really interesting roleplay situation because it was almost kind of like, even though you're supposed to avoid meta knowledge, you know, we all had been hearing about Belloc and this druid who keeps the Golthias tree, and, you know, meta knowledge wise, we were all prepared for a boss fight. We knew that's what was coming. So we get there, and at first we just send our bard in while the rest of us are just hiding and staying back. And
which I think you tried to hide and did a really horrible.
Oh yeah,
so your character was like Kilroy, a head kind of popping up over the top of the wall, peeking and watching what was going on.
And so the bard goes up, and at first it looks like it's going to go unbelievably easy. Essentially, the bard just, Artemis, he explains to Belloc the situation with his fiance and the mummy rod.
Sorry, guys, if you hear the jets flying by, I guess the Blue Angels is having the same session we are right now. Forgot to schedule with these guys that we're going to be doing a stream in the second, so we'll forgive the Blue Angels.
But at any rate, Artemis goes up there and he explains the situation to Belloc. He explains about his fiance's mummy rod. He explains how and why he needs the Golthias apple, to which Belloc says, sure, take one.
His only stipulation was to plant the seeds.
Right. And so to us, well, okay, this is easier than we thought. And then Artemis goes to turn around and leave, to which Golthias says, well, where are you going? And, Artemis says, we need to get out of here. We need to go give this apple to my fiance. And he says, why don't you stay? And so obviously it didn't take long for that roleplay situation to devolve into, no, you're going to stay, no, we're not. And that's when the rest of us just kind of jumped out from our hiding places. And
so the fight ensues. And you run up and smack the hell out of Belloc. I was having a barbarian almost killed my big bad in one hit kind of thing. So he quickly jumped back. He drank a potion and went to cast Barkskin on himself to actually kind of give himself just that extra plus to the AC.
Right.
For those characters, I'm pretty sure it's a spell that anyone can take if you're certain types of casters. Barkskin is a really, really good spell to have. It actually makes it where your AC can be no lower than 16. You become a beast.
Yeah.
So for you squishy druids or mages or warlocks or whoever you want to play who really low on health, it's a good one to take and kind of help yourself out.
However, that bonus to his AC didn't really do him a whole lot of good, considering the fact that as Stormlord, pretty much every attack I make is usually a reckless attack, which means I always have advantage on it.
Yes. You crit, I think, twice in this fight.
Oh yeah, it was bloody.
So then you guys turned your view over to Sir Bradford and Sharwin Hukril, who were still fighting. It was weird that Belloc was down and out.
And they were continuing to battle.
So there was a couple clues there that they didn't really pick up on. I can't hate on them for it. They killed Sir Bradford and Sharon Hercule. You ended up with his sword.
Yeah.
Very nice sword. There were some potions. You guys plucked apples from the tree.
I got one or two.
Yeah, there was like 6 remaining apples
that
you guys had taken and split between y'all.
Not entirely sure what Stormlord plans on doing with those, but they were there. Why not?
Maybe he's hungry. I'm wondering if I should put a time delay on the apple. I mean, it's an apple. I don't think it would last forever, but it's magical. Magic fixes everything. So you guys took the apples. You killed the frog as well. Somebody skewered Bellac's giant frog that he keeps with him. What a weird creature to have as a pet. You guys went to the library. You found the book, the famous book. Now, one of the characters who plays, I don't want to go too deep, but his thing is he doesn't really like the drow having access to areas where maybe humans or other creatures live who just kind of want to live in peace and harmony. Drow are typically very evil creatures. Rape, rob, pillage. They're like orcs, but smart. So he wanted to destroy the tunnel that Balsag came from that was led to the Underdark. And no one could really figure out how to do it. Somebody wanted to throw a flask of oil, which in my brain doesn't really work out because you're throwing flame at stone. There's no explosion here.
So eventually it just came down to Stormlord spending hours and hours just...
Well, you guys had a plan. You had a plan before. And it went south. So I let them take a long rest because I was kind of feeling bad for them. They couldn't really figure out how to destroy the tunnel, and something popped in my brain. So I had them take a rest. And almost like a kind of inspiration of a dream Artemis had brought him back to the book he had found. The Book of Dragon Treasures, bound in dragon scale. Beautiful, beautiful book. No, sorry, that wasn't the one bound dragon scale because he's going to watch us and be like, that was it. No, that was a different one. The book he found had a ruin on it. And it was a warded book.
Yeah.
So my thought process was they were going to put the oil around the cavern and then kind of put the book and figure out how the book works and maybe open the book because it was a very large explosion. And that would have completely shattered it. Instead, they went back to the shrine where the flame kept coming up.
Yeah.
And they put the book in the flame and nothing happened.
I'm thinking we still weren't done with this thing yet.
Yep. You were checking the wall. You found the loose stone.
Right.
You found the gold. He tried to swipe the gold. Rolled really low on the sleight of hand, so as he went to pull it, coins were falling.
Yeah, Dwarven Barbarian, not the sneakiest guy.
Yeah. So, as this is going on, he looks also in the gold, and there's these 3 flasks. And these flasks have, like, embers in them.
Just like kind of you can almost just see flames churning inside the glass vial.
And he turns to show his party members. And as he is doing this, the bard decided to flip through the book that was warded, and the trap was on page 2. And the second page 2 was seen. The book goes off. I had to make everybody roll dex saves. 4 of them made it.
So the book explodes. Meanwhile, these 2 very highly flammable vials that Stormlord was holding in each hand are triggered by the explosion.
Yes.
They both explode.
As the explosion's going off, the bard kind of throws the book over to you as an accident, grabs the 2 other characters and drops them behind a statue. As this happens, Milo is always perceptive of everything, and he sees this happen, and he quickly goes to dive behind the statue as well. The explosion goes off. It hits you with the vials.
Right.
Causing 37 damage in one blast. Luckily, the other guys got their saves. They got to half the damage. Yeah, it really was. Berkey didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, so that was the end of the legend of Erky Timbers.
Yeah, poor Erky didn't stand a chance. We actually completely forgot about Erky. And it was like, wait, he was in the room. And I was like, yeah, he's dead. They're like, roll for it. I'm like, all right. Boom, I rolled like a 9. The save was a 12. Poor Erky was dead. You guys put him on the table. You cover him with the cloth. And then you start chipping away at the cavern.
Yeah, so going back to this cavern, basically we couldn't figure out a good way to close it, so Stormlord just did it the old-fashioned way with a maul and a whole lot of muscle.
I mean, the good thing about barbarians, or dwarf, especially blacksmith, they can find the weak points in things. It's just like being a blacksmith. You got to know where to hit and not to hit on that steel to fracture.
Yeah, and Stormlord actually is a blacksmith. He owns his own smithy shop.
Yep, they met Stormlord up in Waterdeep. You were actually up there, and when all the chaos and everything was going on, they met up with you, who was just trying to have a drink.
Right.
And kind of tapped into that old, used to be an adventure kind of thing,
right.
And kind of tied into it and really fed into it, and you're like, I'm coming.
Yeah.
So you guys go down the other hallway. You fight the fire snake. Cal almost got his face eaten off. Rule of thumb: if there's a hole in the ground, and there's a bunch of holes in the ground, you probably don't stick your face in it.
This was one point where we had actually split the party because
Yeah.
while they were doing this, Stormlord was still caving in this cave.
Yeah. Cal goes wiggling down into this hole till he sees this red creature with like tendrils hanging off of his face kind of turn on him and go to chomp. It bit him, and then as he was getting pulled out because he was screaming, this thing was right on his ass. Am I holding you up here?
I gotta clock into work.
Oh, okay. Okay, so then you guys find the dragon egg. They go and put it in the sacred flame again because there's an obsession with this flame. And he kind of gets a little rippled crack across it. Not really, just a hint of a crack. And then they keep doing this and little ripple cracks, not really anything to open it. You guys make your way back up. You let Yuzdrael know that Belak's dead. And you guys got the key for that.
Right.
And then decided to go straight for the fiance.
Mm-hmm.
Totally skipped the room that the key actually entered. And went straight for the fiance.
Well, we had planned to come back to that. I think that was said.
Yeah, you did. And then everybody made their way to the gate.
Yeah.
So you guys take the apple back to the Yawning portal.
Mm.
Everything's a little more normal, kind of coming back to life in Waterdeep. People are kind of reeling from what happened, but
The apple cures the fiance.
Yep. You
Or
guys
Mrs.
go
Fiancé.
up. You give the apple to Durnan. He gives it to the midwife, who's kind of taking care of her. Gives her the apple. Color restores, but she's still kind of asleep. It's a slow process. You guys go down to drink. You learn you have these really cool new powers where if you bang your hammers, like storm appears and you kind of get.
If it's okay with you, I know I mentioned it earlier that night when we were just kind of drinking and gallivanting. If it's okay with you, I actually want to retcon that to where I didn't discover those powers until what happened later that night.
Oh, the fight was so good, wasn't it?
Right.
Gotcha. So he may or may not have shocked the bard to show off his new stuff. Kaul went just exploring Waterdeep as a drow would do.
Right.
Wasn't really friendly. Was not the friendliest reception. 2 guards met him, and things almost went south for him. Luckily, he was able to try to show him a trick. They didn't really give a shit. He's seen it in his best interest to kind of make his way back. You guys stumbled around trying to find him, drunk off your asses.
Yeah, that was a fun night.
You guys all make it back. So, Kel's passed out down. The bard's up with his wife.
Stormlord
fiance.
eventually goes back to his room.
You go to your room. Milo went and passed out early, I think. To which you awoke to a blade to your throat.
Right. So Stormlord being the type of individual he's never not ready for a fight. Instantly wakes up in the middle of the night. Maul starts flying. Not only does the maul start flying, but suddenly there's just this raging. I mean, there's water flying around him. There's occasional lightning bolts coming out of him. And Stormlord has actually never seen this happen to himself before, but just amidst this rage that he's in, that he just got attacked in the middle of the night, he's completely ignoring it. Eventually he does successfully dispatch these 2 assailants who came to attack.
Uno.
One?
Uno.
Oh, I thought it was 2.
No, Milo came in to help.
That's right.
So, to pause him real quick, to set the scene for this, guys, it was actually really sick of a fight. I had a lot of fun narrating this, and it was really just playing off of what you were doing and just kind of giving it the best description I could. So you're in the middle of the fight. The storm's raging. Lights are off. As the lightning cracks, it's like strobe lights lighting up the room for a split second. So if you were standing back watching this, you could see just flashes and characters moving, and then everything would turn black, and then a flash again, and the characters, they'd be in different positions back and forth. You were actually not fully rested at this point. You hadn't even used. You ran out of your hit die.
Right.
I think you started the fight at like 14 HP.
Yeah.
And it was a knockout, drag out fight. Milo in the room next to him hears the scramble, pops open the door, sneaks his way in as a rogue would typically do. A little backstory real quick. We let Tyler roll his rolls. And while sitting here, I think this man rolled between an 18 and a 12. And there was like, it was like 18, 18, 17, 16, 12, and then a 14 in there. Like, it's crazy high numbers.
Yeah.
So he puts it all to Dex. He always starts first in initiative.
Right.
He's the quickest to react. His saves are so much easier. It's hard to throw things at him that won't destroy that you can even try to destroy.
Yeah.
He's so dexterous. So this fight's going on. Milo makes his way up behind Caracus the Ranger that you guys find out later, who is also Barkskin. He was sent in to kind of try to assassinate a character.
Right.
Milo slits his Achilles tendons, which brings Caracus hard to the ground.
With a maul over the head.
Yeah, to which this man, like it's a carnival game. Boom! Blood and guts. Splatter.
So pretty soon after that, Stormlord makes his way to Durnan's private room where he stays, and the first thing he does is drop a pile of gold on the table. To which Durnan says, "Well, the room doesn't cost that much. You're highly overpaying me here." And Stormlord says, "You might want to take a look at the room before you say that, because as I said, there was a raging storm in the middle of this indoor room."
You kind of questioned Durnan a little bit, and he kind of got pissed.
Right, because it was sort of, I'm staying at your establishment. How is security so lax at your establishment that someone's able to come into my room and attack me in the middle of the night?
Yeah, he wasn't too happy about that. He took that almost as kind of an attack. He was unsure himself, but he knew there was an issue. For someone to make their way into the Yawning Portal establishment, and he only really employs who he trusts. So he takes you guys downstairs. He gives you some equipment to kind of try to help you guys out, and he lets you know about the forge. See, like I said, these guys are kind of in a chess match with Acerat, going back and forth, and what they're trying to do so far was Belak was kind of supplying him with these bark-skinned soldiers. You guys seen them when the siege happened. There was a lot of these guys coming out. So you guys cut that head off. It's almost like a Hydra you guys are fighting.
Right.
So Durnan let them know that if we could get the forge back up and running and get it into dwarven hands like yourself as a blacksmith, we could get weapons to the good side, and good weapons. Good weapons.
And pretty soon after that is when all hell broke loose.
Yeah, as you guys are down there and Durnan's talking, you just hear a loud slam. And you guys make your way up the stairs. Like, he's off as soon as he hears this. Because it's his inn, it's his home. So you guys make your way up, and there's a lot of people kind of like looking through the windows and holding shut the door. And I like to use ambience music for when I play. It's really fun to have you guys, like if you're in a tavern, I'll play tavern. If you do something silly like Howell always does, you might get the wah wah wah. Just because it's fun. It makes it a fun game. We're not all trying to be just serious all the time about it. To which you guys open the door, and out is raging a war almost again. It's like a siege after siege after siege. To which 5 giants are just throwing rocks and bashing things, and you guys, as the door opens, I think Indroth Crag went to run out. He was actually part of the Knights, the City Watch. He goes to run out, and as he goes to run out, you guys just see this acid breath just run across right in front of the inn, and I think your character was even like, been there before, close the door.
He started having flashbacks from a past life.
Yeah, right? No, not to play with this. So as you guys are looking out the window, you see this tiefling bust out of a building to your side. And she was a really big one too. It was fun to bring her into play. That was Farida of the Brimstone Angel story. She is actually a twin to... See, Asmodeus, when he was brung to, I think, godhood or whatever it was, there was like 12 disciples who casted the incantation to bring him to what be. And one of them died. Now, when that one died, its essence kind of lives on, and they're always looking for an heir to take that place. Because their spirit might be them. So when that NPC's spirit died and left its body, it went into a woman to her children to be reincarnated. Now, what it didn't know is there was twins. So when the egg split, the soul was split, the essence was split into 2 characters. Farida being one of them. She's actually eyed to be like that heir to take that place. Her spell stack is ridiculous. I had so many cards that I'm trying to play through, and I was hoping for more of a battle, but I'm glad you guys didn't go that way.
Yeah.
Because 5 giants and a young dragon, not gonna go the best.
Oh no.
So they quickly slam the door, and Durnan gets you guys into harnesses and puts you back down. You guys go down, and he lets you know to go talk to Bart because you guys had found the key on Belak.
Right.
So Bart looks at the key. You guys find him. Bart wants more money, of course. Money for information is the best way to go. He sees the key, and he knows what it is.
Right.
He unwraps.
Bart just knows everything.
Yeah. He unwraps the key, and he holds it, and he meditates with a minute, and he can see the dwarven runes of Kundakar. So that what leads him to believe that Asarak, who is using these keys, now has ties to Kundakar. Something there is what he wants.
Right.
So you guys started to make your way to the west of Down Shadow through one of the tunnels. And we kind of ended right at that point.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that's where we left off.
Yeah, because you guys were coming up and you seen the 2, those of you that had dark vision and could see clearly enough, you seen the 2 drow who quickly turned around, blades ready. And there was this big, almost werewolf-like looking creature that was with them that kind of broke off to the shadows.
Right.
And that was where we ended the session. It's funny because we only expected this to be like maybe 40 minutes as a recap, but we went through quite a bit. It's been really fun playing with these guys because while we do spend some time on some silly things like the Sacred Flame, they're doing really good with making their way through things. I'm having to scale up a lot.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we even just brung in Carter, who will hopefully be at the next section. So I'm running 6 people in this. Typically 4 is good.
Yeah.
6 is overkill, but it's not, because you're bringing 6 people together and you're having such a good time with the story that you guys are creating, the narrative that I am simply here to lay out for you guys, and y'all take from that what you will and how you want to encounter that. That's been really cool to have.
That being said, there is a reason that there is only 6 roll trays at this table, because I think it's kind of our personal belief that most D&D, the best D&D game will not have more than 6 players, just for the sole reason that the more players you have, the less time each person really gets to play.
Well, I mean, it's kind of back and forth, though, because you will have people who do take a lot of time.
Right.
So we have, like, Tyler, who was one of our newer members. I mean, I think he started the same time I did. Somehow I've ended up DMing now, and he's a player. But it's fun to watch him roll, because he always rolls his damage with his hit.
Yeah.
It's really ways to just kind of just speed that up a little bit and smooth it out. I really like that he does that. But when we had like 9 players in the one campaign, it's just everybody was trying to take the turn of what they were doing. So something that would probably have only taken you guys maybe one night to get through. We were like 3 sessions deep. I actually had to wait for like a full 12 hours just to play. I was watching these guys. I finally got to play on the 4th session, but I was just watching them. I got to play on the 3rd. Sorry, I was just watching them for 2 sessions. We were playing 4 hours at a time. But it was fun to watch. It gave me time to learn the game. And I'm really appreciative for that. And like so much has come from that for who we have playing. And I mean, we have like our Saturday night group that we like to play with. That's more of our kind of adults only. We don't even stream that. We're not putting on shows. That is long week, unwind. Let's probably get a little murder hobo-ish with the characters we have.
I actually was I didn't realize I hadn't even told you this. This will be news to you and whoever's watching. I actually was planning on our Saturday nights just kind of streaming off my phone here and there, off and on, not constantly throughout the night, but just so we are throwing something up on Sunday or Saturday nights. Just throughout our Saturday, we have kind of a game, just a general game night. It's not even always D&D every Saturday. And so from now on Saturdays, you guys can look forward to just sporadically throughout the night. It might just be a funny little Cards Against Humanity combo that I wanted to share with you guys. Or it might just be, a scene that seems really cool from our D&D game, or whatever it may be.
Probably do videos with that, just because, like, very short streams. in excess of them can kind of act negatively against you
Oh,
because a
okay.
lot of people aren't going to jump in like the second we start.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you're going to be running like not that many viewers for a little bit.
Mm.
So probably I would say for our Saturday games, let's like do videos or something. Like we could even
Right.
really record the whole session, and then maybe over the next couple days, if you want to, we could make like a funny little montage video, and then probably put that up on
maybe
Twitch.
do Facebook Live or something.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, that would probably be really
Yeah.
good for us. So you guys could probably catch our Saturday games. More of you guys are on Facebook than our Twitch. We're still building this. I mean, this is like stream maybe 6 or 7 that we've
Something
actually
like
had.
that, yeah.
This is probably going to be, like he said, our main location for a lot of our videos that we're going to do. We really like the dynamic of having both of us in this, so it's
Right.
really fun going back and forth. And it kind of gives you guys something to watch a little more than just like if I were to do a video or you to do a video, and it's just like a
Right.
little monologue kind of thing. And we love having you guys in this, and y'all can throw things in the chat, you know, and we'll go back and forth with you guys as well. But I think that about sums up
Yep.
where we are at so far. So we will be having our next session is going to be April 8th. It's actually in like 4 days.
Right.
And we'll get to use this guy. I'm really excited for that.
First game this table's seen.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't even get. I'm glad we didn't do character creation on it, man. Because
Yeah,
I
me
wanted
too.
it to be my first game.
Yeah.
Just maybe I'm being selfish. But I really do hope you guys check us out. We love seeing y'all in. Unfortunately for that, we're not really chatting a lot back and forth because that's kind of
Yeah.
our personal show that we're doing. We're still putting it on for you guys. And that's the cool thing about D&D is a show for those who have enough imagination
Yeah.
to know what we're doing and to be able to see this in your mind. I know a lot of you guys probably watch Critical Role and stuff, and it's really the same way. I don't really like watching Critical Role. I'm more of a listen in the background because with their
Yeah.
voice acting, everything is great.
Right.
Not trying to throw props to them. They do an amazing job. No hate whatsoever. I did want to throw a quick throw in. Thank you, Sirenscape, for letting us use your sounds.
Absolutely.
I love being able to have them. I've paid for the subscription just because they have a really great app that you can just hook a speaker up to. You can customize your playlists as you would want to, and kind of lay them down as you need to. So that's really cool that I get to be able to use that, and it's really cool to have that for you guys. And I really think that covers about everything, man.
All right. Well then, until next time.
Game on, gamers.